Hi friends, it's Alexa, and today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in the first half of January. This is the pile that I have managed to read so far. Without further ado, let us talk about all the books that I read so far in January. So the first two books that I want to talk about are Passenger, second is Wayfarer, and both are by Alexandra Bracken. They are part of the same duology. Passenger is about two individuals, Henrietta Spencer and Nicholas Carter. They happen to cross paths when Etta travels back in time to the era that Nicholas lives in. Etta is given a task by Nicholas's grandfather. Nicholas decides to accompany her on this journey to figure out the location of this secret treasure that the grandfather is hunting down. It is this interesting combination of time travel, and there's like a part where it's on a ship, and then there's like a scavenger hunt style type thing where Etta has to figure out like which location to go to next to find the next clue. And it's just so good. This was actually a reread for me. I wasn't gonna originally reread it, but then I ended up like skimming, and then I saw a few favorite scenes, and I was just like, I have to do it. I have to reread it. So I did. It was just so fun to be back in this world, to get a new look at these time travel rules that Alex had come up with, and to see their journey and how Nicholas and Etta developed together as individuals and as a pair. It was incredible and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I believe there's like this recap that Alex created that's pretty detailed, so if you didn't want to reread this before jumping into the new book, you could do that, and I'll link to it down below. But I think there is a lot to be said for rereading it and catching all the little details and getting to acquaint yourself with these characters and the world that they're living in. I really enjoyed it. Wayfarer is the sequel to Passenger, and after all the events that occur in Passenger, Etta and Nicholas are once again finding themselves on this journey, only this time they are journeying towards something else, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I was definitely surprised by the direction that Alex took for Wayfarer, but not in a bad way. It was a pleasant surprise. I've always been fascinated by how Alex has a real masterful hand when she's trying to write her characters, whether it's the primary characters or the secondary characters, and she does an incredible job with Wayfarer. You really get to see other facets of Nicholas, other facets of Etta, and other facets of a few other characters as well. Plus, she introduces a bunch of new ones who are also really incredible and who I love. I really also liked the way that the story unfolds. There's a lot of adventure involved. There's so much sass in this book. All of the things that happen leading up to the very end were all really exciting and really interesting, and I also really liked how it ended. I absolutely enjoyed this one as well. I would highly recommend checking out this duology if you have not already. It is incredible. The next thing I read was a graphic novel, Monstrous, which is by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. I was a bit nervous going into it that it wouldn't live up to all my expectations, but I shouldn't have worried because it was amazing. It's about a girl named Micah Halfwolf, and she's basically on a journey to figure out her history and her present and who she is. A lot of violence and gore ensues in this journey. Micah is living in a world where there are two warring factions, humans and arcanics. Humans are obviously regular people. Arcanics are sort of magical people. It's an interesting adventure that's both one girl's journey towards figuring things out for herself, and also the world surrounding her and how that's affecting that journey. And it's really great. They put so much detail into the things in the illustrations so you could tell the differences between characters, between places, between races. It was really great. I also really like the world building. There's a lot of it done, especially in the first few issues that are included in this volume, so you kind of get an overview of what the world is like and who the major players are and why that's so, and that was interesting too. But I especially loved Micah herself. I thought she was such a great character to follow, and I really enjoyed seeing her journey throughout the book. I'm really glad I finally read this. I'm really looking forward to reading the next one, and I definitely think you should check it out. The next book I read is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. This is the story of two teens who meet on one random day in New York City and decide to spend it together. The two teens in question are Natasha, who is very much a girl who believes in science and fact, and who is determined to find a way to avoid her family's deportation back to Jamaica, and Daniel, who is the child of Korean parents who want him to become a doctor, but he doesn't want to be a doctor, he wants to be a poet. Or actually, he doesn't know what he wants. Together, these two wander New York, they get the things done that they need to get done, and they kind of have an impact on each other during this one day that they're together. I am a sucker for stories that take place over the course of one day, and that is why I enjoyed this book so much. I really truly believe that, you know, random encounters with people and a random day in your life could be a life changer, a game changer for you, whether it's an internal change or an external change. And so I really enjoyed that part of the story. I found it a little bit hard to warm up to Natasha at first, but eventually I realized that there was something that we both had in common. Daniel, on the other hand, I really got along with from the start, I think because I could really understand where he was coming from family-wise, so I definitely enjoyed that. I enjoyed the story. I thought it was very well told. I love that she used a variety of perspectives. She did not just do it from Daniel or Natasha's perspective. She also did things like zoom out and tell us a bit of the history of their parents, of people they randomly meet during the day, and that was very interesting. I really enjoyed this one. I'm glad I finally got a chance to read it. The next 3 books I will be showing you are all library books. So the first book is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Sands. I hope I'm saying that right. Anyway, it's about 2 boys, Aristotle and Dante. They become friends one summer, and it just really narrates the story of their relationship. I was also really nervous going into this one because it has gotten so much praise, and clearly you can see all the awards it's won. The way that it's told is in very short chapters, and the author only chose to highlight certain events and moments in both Aristotle and Dante's lives. And yet, you really get a good glimpse of who these 2 boys are and how they change over the time after they first met. And you also realize that they have such great families as well, because their families are such a major part of the story, which I really loved. I did not necessarily love it as much as other people did. In terms of main characters, I prefer Dante a little bit more than Aristotle, probably because I feel like I would be actually friends with Dante, whereas with Ari I'd have like a bit of a difficult time getting to know him and being his friend. I think it's one of those stories that's really unique because I haven't read anything quite like it, and I'm glad that I finally did. And then I read If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo, and this is the story of Amanda, who used to be Andrew. Amanda has to move away from her home in this new town. Nobody knows like her past, so she's free to live the life she's always wanted, and she kind of makes friends and she falls in love. And obviously stuff happens towards the end because she has that secret she's keeping. I had heard a lot about this one last year because it's by a trans author and has a trans model on the cover, and I think that's really interesting. It both allowed me to see how difficult it might be for a trans person who's in transition and even after their transition. Aside from all of the struggles they personally go through, they can live lives that are completely normal and easy to relate to. Like, I knew that, but it was emphasized even more for me when reading this, and I like that a lot. I really enjoyed Amanda as a character. I really think that she and I would have been friends. I love that there's a combination of her fear of being found out and her desire to just live and find her own place in this world that she's living in, and I really think that the author tackled that well. The one thing I would have to say about this is that a lot of the big action happens towards the end of the book. Overall, I really like this book. I definitely think it's an important book to have on shelves, and I'm glad someone picked it up and decided to publish it. And the last book I'm going to talk about is another book that I have been putting off reading because of the hype, and that book is More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. I shouldn't have worried though. I really should have already read it earlier because it was really, 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 really good. It's about a boy named Aaron Soto. He's pretty much leading a normal life. He's got a girlfriend, he works, he lives with his mom and his brother, and yeah, so day-to-day life for him is pretty decent. But then he meets Thomas, and then all these feelings start coming out, and he is forced to question whether he wants to remember these feelings or have them buried by a procedure that the Lateo Institute can make happen. I love that it's mostly contemporary and mostly about a boy who's just trying to figure out who he is and what he wants. I love that there's that little sci-fi thread that actually elevates it to an entirely different level. Everything about the story, the setting itself, the cultural aspects of it, the characters, it was very different for me, and I actually really liked that. I think it was definitely something I needed to read. I thought this was really good. It was slow for me at the beginning, but then eventually the more I came to care about Aaron and these people in his life, the more invested I got. I'm so glad I finally read this, and I can tell you guys that it was definitely well worth the read. Those are all the books that I read so far this month. So I hope you found something new to check out. What have you guys been reading so far this month, or what have you guys read so far this month that you've loved? I would love to hear about it in the comments. You guys will be seeing me for another video soon. Bye!